It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Your child suddenly sits upright in their bed. They start screaming, their eyes are wide open, their heart is racing, and they're sweating. You rush into the room and try to comfort them, but it seems they don't recognize you. You call their name, you pick them up, but it seems they don't know that you're there. They look awake, but they're not. A few minutes later, they settle and fall soundly back to sleep again. The next morning, they remember nothing. If you've ever experienced this as a parent, you've probably asked yourself, is this normal? Is it a seizure? Was that a nightmare? Or what on earth just happened? Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tiny Matters with Dr. K. Today, we're discussing nightmares, night terrors, and other strange things children do at night. And most importantly, we'll talk about when these behaviors are normal and when they might need further attention. We need to remember this. Sleep is not as quiet as we think. Many parents imagine sleep as a period of complete rest, when in fact, sleep is a pretty active process. Throughout the night, our brain moves through different phases of sleep. The periods between these phases in children can actually be quite rapid. Sometimes these transitions can produce very bizarre behavior, most of which is pretty harmless. So let's start with the difference between nightmares and night terrors. This is a common confusion, but they are not the same thing. A nightmare occurs during the dream phase of sleep. It usually happens later on in the night. Children often wakefully seek comfort, can remember parts of the dream, and can actually explain the part that frightened them. A child might say, "There was a monster," or "I dreamt you disappeared." The important thing is that they are awake and aware of the dream. A night terror is very different. Night terrors usually happen in the first few hours after falling asleep. Children may scream or cry or sit upright. They appear terrified and might not even recognize you when you come to comfort them. But here's the strange part. They are not truly awake. Most children are fast asleep for the entire episode, and the next morning, no memory at all. Night terrors are often so much harder for the parent than they are for the child, because from the parent's perspective, the child looks absolutely terrified. You naturally want to comfort them, but most children are actually inconsolable during this time. And that's because they're not interacting the way that you think they are. They are stuck somewhere between fast asleep and wide awake. So should you wake them? The answer is usually no. Trying to wake a child during a night terror prolongs the episode, increases confusion, and generally creates more distress. Instead, stay nearby. Wait for it to pass, keep them safe, and speak softly. Most of these episodes will resolve on their own. So what causes the night terrors? The mechanism of this is not really well understood, but we think certain things may play a role. Sleep deprivation, overtiredness, illness, fever, stress, and family history play a big role in the occurrence of night terrors. Interestingly, they often run in families, and many parents discover that they had them too. Now let's talk about another behavior that terrifies families: sleepwalking. A child may sit up, wander around, open doors, and even have conversations, all while fast asleep. Just like night terrors, sleepwalking happens in deep sleep. The biggest concern here isn't psychological, it's the safety of the child. Sleep talking is also incredibly common. Children may mumble, answer random questions, laugh, and even shout random words, all while fast asleep. Most sleep talking is completely harmless, though it can be very entertaining for parents. Teeth grinding, another common nighttime behavior. Many children grind their teeth, and though it can be a sign of sinus irritation and allergies, most of it is completely harmless. Fortunately, many children outgrow it without any intervention. Some children may rock, bang their heads, roll repeatedly, or move rhythmically during sleep. These behaviors can look concerning, but are often signs of normal development. So when should parents worry? Now let's talk about this important part. Night terrors and a lot of these nighttime behaviors are completely normal, but there are situations that will prompt us to take a closer look. Things that warrant further medical assessment include frequent episodes, daytime sleepiness, developmental regression, which means losing developmental skills that your child once had. Episodes that look like seizures. You'll remember we did an episode of seizures. Refer back to that one. Breathing difficulties during sleep, and loud snoring with pauses in the breathing. Now, could this be a seizure? This is a concern that many parents have. Sometimes seizures can occur during sleep. The difference isn't always obvious. If the episodes are repetitive, unusual, stereotyped, or associated with abnormal movements, it's definitely worth checking that out. Now, as pediatricians, we often encounter many cultural explanations. Families may worry that something has frightened the child, bewitched the child, someone is calling the child, or that there's an ancestral calling upon their children. These concerns are often rooted in genuine care and love and a misunderstanding about what's happening. What we do know is that night terrors are a commonly recognized sleep phenomenon that happens to many children around the world. So what can parents do? The most important strategies are surprisingly simple: consistent bedtime routines, adequate sleep, managing stress, treating illness, and creating a safe sleep environment. So if your child has ever started screaming in the middle of the night and left you convinced that something terrible was happening, I hope this episode helped you. Most night terrors, sleepwalking episodes, and sleep talking are actually very normal parts of childhood development. They can be strange, they can be dramatic, and increasingly unsettling to watch, but most of these are going to go away all on their own. So the next time your child wakes up, starts screaming, and then having a conversation with a dinosaur at 2 a.m., take a deep breath. This is normal. Childhood is weird, and sometimes sleep is even weirder. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tiny Matters with Dr. K. Until the next time, stay kind and stay curious.